Like evolution, like the fact that we're only here because a molecule replicated for the sake of replication over and over and over. Just a mechanical process. It happened, nobody wanted it, nothing wanted it, just over and over and over and over and over. And that it did it in an arena where there are no rules. A gladiator war with no rules, no civility, no anything. Okay, whatever wins, wins, period. End of sentence. And we can see the legacy manifestations of that in this preposterous nationalism and in racism and in this nepotism that has completely corrosively destroyed civility and any kind of any hope of real social progress. If I had to gain my gratification at somebody else's expense, if to make my dessert you had to pull the bread off the plate of a hungry child. So to make my dessert, you had to pull a piece of bread off their plate to make my dessert. I would say, no, I don't want the dessert. That's a truth. That's an honest statement. I think most people would concede that's the truth. You will create monsters that won't find it pleasurable. They'll get car sick or boat sick or something else, and they'll be horribly miserable. And that's the price of your joyride. And it's just a joyride. Because again, let's get back to the truth of this thing, which is that you don't need to do any of this stuff for any other reason than you need it. The need is in you. It isn't in the world. It isn't as a fact of reality. It only exists because you create it. Your existence creates all that need. So this is a dilemma of our life, is that our desire to be here, our desire to live, is completely of no real merit. Wherein, if we had a desire to stop a rape that was happening in my front yard, and I was to suddenly just drop dead of a heart attack, the merit of my desire that the rape stop, the need for the rape to stop, still exists in the world. And these are not paradoxes of reality, but these are realities of our condition that have substance and meaning. And there's sort of an implication here that yes, you can't be deprived by non-existing. It's a neutral state of no benefit and no loss, which makes it uniquely different. And the fact is that the fact that that benefit is capable of being eviscerated in terms of having real value, wherein the value of preventing a harm can endure, is really meaningful as a truth. That's the asymmetry argument, basically. I mean, it catches on this fact that our desire to be here is completely a subjective mechanism, that we must exist to manifest this thing called that desire, wherein our need, that need to exist, wherein the need for some harm to be prevented is enduring. It doesn't need witnesses. You don't need the need for their pain to stop doesn't need a witness, where our need to exist needs us to generate it. It doesn't exist in the world, it exists only in our perception.
So, it's not that suffering is unreal, it's immeasurable, and you cannot make valid arguments on the basis of pretending you can look at the totality of suffering on some such notion.
If the deal was, a 6-year-old kid has to go through 2 years of chemotherapy. Now, the deal is that's what's going to be the price of you having your pleasures. Are you still going to buy your pleasures at that 6-year-old's imposition? I mean, I think those simple questions reveal how trivial and superficial our pleasures actually are, that we would forsake all of them, in some cases, very quickly, to preserve the comfort, or at least the non-suffering, of the people we care about, and even people we don't care about. We would sacrifice our pleasures to spare them the harms they endure. The fact that this is probably true, that if I actually put this to most people on planet Earth, and I said to them, your child will die this slow, hard, painful way for you to have your pleasures of your existence, that the parents wouldn't in a minute say, no, I don't want to do that. So rationally, that's the equation. Okay, as a practical fact, because we're rolling this in dice, because we're rolling this in a matter of probabilistic outcomes, where luck is involved, there's no directness, okay? So again, this is the dilemma we have. You want to say this isn't a real philosophical, problematic, hard to, damn it. This is a problem to be dealt with. And how do you deal with it? Oh, suffering doesn't exist. Just quite amazing.
The guy does feel pain. He enjoys it though.
See, you don't even understand sadomasochism. They don't enjoy the pain. They enjoy the release of a pain they already are experiencing.
Suffering is your subjective experience of pain.
Okay, this idea that it's just a subjective experience, well, of course it happens inside an individual, but it's an objectively diagnosable syndrome. We can see it happening, it's happening, we can identify it, we can label it. It's not, I'm not subjectively making it up, my bias isn't making me see what isn't there. We can define and describe what suffering is as an experience. It's an experience, it happens, it's not something illusionary.